You've seen me put the brakes together on a 4-brake multi-brake and a 5-brake multi-brake, and you're probably wondering what it is I've done with the Spolette before I've inserted it into the other shell, because for certain if you just put it in like that, there's no way that Spolette is going to light. Now a Spolette, if I were to take a cigarette lighter and play it around the end of the powder core here, the chances are it's not going to light, and that's because the powder core that you've rammed is very smooth, very hard. It's almost like glass if you've rammed it hard enough, and the fire just doesn't get a chance to catch anywhere and ignite it. About the only way you're going to light that without some kind of priming is by getting the tip of a blowtorch on it. So what you need to do is you need to make this more ignitable. Now people do this in different ways. This is just the way I do it. It's you don't have to do it like this. It works very well for me. What I do is I take a piece of 120 grit wet and dry paper, and just to get rid of any debris on the surface, to make it nice and smooth to start with, I just give it a rub like that. And now I take a very sharp awl. You could use the edge of a cutter blade, I guess, and I put a scratch straight down the centre of it. And if you do it too hard, it might flake a big chunk off, so I put a gentle scratch in it from one side to the other. And then I just go down the groove again. It's actually quite difficult to get it absolutely in the middle. And what I'm doing is I'm putting this scratch in here. It's about a 32nd to a 16th of an inch deep. Now already that's far more ignitable. If I were to play my flame from the cigarette lighter over that, it may well ignite now because of the rough edge and the fact that it's no longer smooth. Now once I've done that, I take some prime. This is just mill BP. There's no magnesium, silicone, anything else in it. And it's wet enough that I can paste it on with this little tiny brush. And all I do is I put it soaks up immediately, so you need to do it again. I put enough on, and I've got here a little tub of I guess it's 4FA. It passes a 12 mesh sieve and sits on a 50. Have that at the ready as long as it's wet, and then just turn it over and dip it in there. Just push it in and just hold it for a moment. Okay, now remove it and just take off the excess around the tube itself. Okay, now on one half of the core surface I've got the BP slurry, and it's been dipped in these granules. Now it will light really easily, but that's still not enough. It's not going to ensure that this brake's going to ignite from the previous one. Now you can wait till this dries 100%. Normally I don't. Now what I do now is I take a length of black match. This is about 11 inches long, and I place the centre of it over the core here, and I place it sideways on rather than splitting the primed and unprimed half in two. I get it in the centre point, hold my finger firmly on it. Now bend one side down and then bend it again at the bottom, and then bring this piece up. And just let it go for the time being. Now do the same on the other side, bend it over the top. Don't worry if a little bit of the BP falls off the match. Same thing again. Now bend it up. Okay, now I've got this little W shape of match here, and it sits over the top there. Now I like to use tarred twine to secure this. I think there's nothing better than tarred twine for securing match to spolettes, but it's quite difficult to pull it tight because it's so sticky. While you're holding on to this, it's quite difficult to get it to tighten up. So I just make a clove hitch from some, I use 0.5 millimeter hemp twine. Now when you tie this on, just make sure that your top piece here is up against the spolette. You don't want a gap there, and the two little antennae, the two little ears here, whatever, I push them to the side of the downward piece, so they're not sitting on top of it. It makes them more difficult to tie otherwise. Now just grip it at the bottom and then drop your clove hitch over the top. And now just pull your clove hitch tight, about in the middle. I want to give myself enough space to tie some tarred string above and below this temporary knot, and just pull it tight. You don't need to lock it off or glue it or anything. You're going to take it off in a minute. So now that's sitting on there, it's just holding it in place, and just get rid of the long bits so they don't get in the way of the tarred twine. Quite a long piece of tarred twine. You want to have enough to wrap around your fingers a couple of times to get some purchase on it. Take your time when you're doing this. There's absolutely no hurry whatsoever. If you balls this up and this spolette doesn't light, all the work you've done for a 5-inch 3-break or 3-break 8-inch or whatever, it's all gone to waste, because if this doesn't light, your effect's ruined. So just take your time with it and make sure it's absolutely right. And get your two loops of your clove hitch side by side. And this is what I say about tarred string. You can't pull it tight. It kind of locks up before you get it, before you can get a knot tied with it. But once it's on forever. It's never going to come off. Okay, now pull it up really tight. If the twine's good, it shouldn't break. And now I take it round the back. And knot it again. And one more. Okay, now shot off about 1/4 inch from the knot. And the same thing at the top. I want to put tarred twine now about 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch down from the edge of the top of the spolette. Try and get the two bits of the loop together so they're touching each other, not splayed apart. And again, as tight as you can. And take it round the other side again. When you take it round the back and knot it again, try and get your loop to lie underneath the other two, so you're not putting this extra loop on top of the other two. It's more secure that way. And then you can remove your temporary tie with the untied string. And these are a little bit long. I like to have them about 1.5 inches. So just snip them off. Okay, so you've got that. You can see clearly there, it's secured at the top and the bottom. The little bridge here is going across, it's in contact with the little particles, the grains of BP that are on half of the powder core, and there's no gap underneath this bridging piece here, it's flush up against the end of the spolette. And if you do it like that, guaranteed every time that spolette will light. And then when I come to put it into the bottom of this shell here, this is the third break, this is the second break. It goes in the hole there. The hole is big enough to accommodate the extra width here of the match on the outside of the spolette, and it's guaranteed ignition. I do this the same way when I come to lift and lead of the shell. The first break gets treated like this, the little bridge of match, the two little ears sticking up, and then a bucket goes over the top, the leader goes into the bucket, the pacifier goes down from the side of here into the lift charge. And that's it. Really simple, but just needs to be done properly to make sure that all your hard work doesn't go to waste.